Sometimes you gotta color outside the lines. Let's take a close look at Photoshop's Style Transfer Filter. Hello and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. Today when I sat down to make a video, I thought I want to have a little bit of fun. And I've explored the Style Transfer Filter inside of Photoshop before, and I made a video on that. But today I thought I'd take a little deeper look at it, that we could see how all those sliders in there work and how we can use those for, coloring outside the lines a little bit and making some fun and interesting images. It's not all serious sometimes. Sometimes we just got to have fun and go a little bit to the more artistic side of things. So let's try that today. I'm reminded of something Bob Ross, the famous TV painter, said. When you buy your first tube of paint, you're issued an artist's license. And an artist's license says you can do anything that you want to do on this canvas because it's your world. Today I'm not painting on a canvas or even on a computer for that matter, but I'm going to use my Photoshop artistic license to do whatever I want to two images. I have this image and I have this image here, and we'll run them into Photoshop's Style Transfer Filter and see what kind of results we can come up with. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is come up here to Filter, click on Filter, and click on Neural Filters. That'll open up the Neural Filters. And as you can see, we have a bunch of different filters. We have these featured filters, and then we have this beta group here with a bunch of different beta filters in here. And there's some really cool ones in here. I've examined Depth Blur before. I really like it. And also Colorize. And I've looked at Style Transfer before, but today we're going to take a little closer look at it. But this is Style Transfer, and when I hover over it, it tells us Style Transfer adopts the appearance or visual style of a source image and helps you apply it on your own images. So in other words, what it's going to do, let's click it on first. You'll see you have these different styles here. Now we see 4 different styles, and it's going to apply these styles onto your image. This filter uses artificial intelligence to process your image, and it sends your image up into the cloud and then back down. So you do need an internet connection for this to work. And depending on how fast your internet connection is, will be how fast your image gets processed. Let's click on another style. I'll click this, and look, you see this little wheel spinning here? That's when it's going up into the cloud and processing. So you'll see that every time you click. So we'll click another one here. And I like to start out by just seeing what kind of results I get. That looks pretty cool. And here's another one here. I like that. That looks really neat. And if you click here where it says show more, you'll see a bunch more in here. But let's examine some of these on this image. Let's just take our time and have a little bit of fun. That's pretty cool. Let's check out this one. Let's look at them all. And then I'll show you how we adjust them, because there's some really cool adjustments. Oh, that's kind of fun. Here's another one. Here's more of a Van Gogh type style. That's pretty neat. Here's another Van Gogh type style. And I don't know what this style is, but a lot of these are from famous artistic paintings. Or famous artist paintings, I should say. But let's just click through the rest of these and see what we get. I like that one. I kind of have one in mind. That's more of a sketchy type look, which looks really cool. This one looks like lava or something like that. And here's our last one here. What do you think of that one? I think that one looks pretty neat. But let's come back up to this one here. I think I like this one. See here where it says tattoo? That's not the name of the style, but it says tattoo. So let's call it tattoo. I'm going to click it. And that's kind of cool. It does kind of look like a tattoo though. That's one pass. Let's come down and take a look here. See where it says passes? Right now we're seeing one pass, but we can run this through multiple passes through the artificial intelligence. So that's one. Now let's go ahead and click 2. So it'll send it back up to the cloud and run it through again. It'll become a little bit more intense. Now let's try 3. And you can watch that little spinning wheel and it lets you know when it's done. Now let's try 4. See, there's that spinning wheel. There's 4 passes. Now let's try 5. But as you can see, it's a little more intense each time. And that is pretty intense, but we're going to work on that. But I want to show you something first. So that was 5 passes. If you don't like this color, you can revert back to the original color of the image. And all you need to do is, you see right here where it says preserve color, this checkbox here, give that a check. and it'll go ahead and restore the original color back to the image. Sometimes you want the style's color, but other times it looks better to have the original. And I like this checkbox here because we can go back to the original color if we need to. Let's go ahead and work some more in this image. So I like the original color. So let me go back to 2 passes and see what that looks like. Give it a second or two to process. I do like that. Let me try 1 pass. I think I like the 1 pass. Yeah, I do like the 1 pass. Looks really good. Now, here's a really nice slider, style opacity. What this does is it just pulls back on the amount of the effect. So let me go ahead and pull this back a little bit, and it will have to go up and process itself again. So you see, I can ease off in some of that. And a lot of times this can really give you some really great results. Now that may be a little too much. I'm thinking maybe right around here looks pretty good. I like that right there. And then we have this slider called detail. So if we want to bring a little more detail to the image, we can pull this to the right. And it'll add a little extra detail to the image. And I think I like that little extra bit of detail in here. Now here's a good one here called background blur. This doesn't work on all types of artistic styles, but in certain ones it looks good, and I think it will on this one. So let's go with this background blur and drag this to the right a little bit and watch the background. It'll start to go out of focus. Do you see that? And I kind of like that. That may be a little too strong, but it's bringing more attention to the folks up here in the foreground. Let me pull it back just a little bit. I just like it to be slightly out of focus back there. I think it gives it a nice look. That still might be too much. Let me come back just a little bit more. I like that right there. I think that's nice. And now we have a brightness adjustment. If we need to overall brighten up the image, we can move this to the right or move it to the left to darken it. But it always goes up to the cloud each time we do this. And I think that looks pretty good. I like that little bit of extra brightness in there. And then we have saturation. If we feel our colors are oversaturated or undersaturated, we can take care of that here. In my case, I think I'm a little oversaturated, so I'm going to pull this saturation back a little bit and see what kind of result we get. That's too much, actually. Maybe like a -6. Let's see what that does. Decisions, -6. Not bad. I still feel I went too far. Let me try -4. Yeah, -4 I think looks just right. And then we have this other checkbox called focus subject. Let's go ahead, watch the subject, mainly this gentleman right here. When I click this, see if we can see a change here. Yeah, you can see some change in here. And do I like it? Watch the image, study it. I'm going to uncheck this. And what do you think? You know what? I think I liked it better when the subject was focused. It makes the edges a little softer, a little more artistic, I think. And I like it. I think that looks really cool. Here's a good tip. Try all these different buttons and sliders and passes and do all the different things. And you can go back and revisit things. And you can also, when you get a bunch of settings here, here's another little tip for you. Now, remember, I like this particular style right here, but let's try some other ones with these settings that we've adjusted, because it'll remember those settings when I click on different things here. So we might try some different ones and say, no, that looks pretty cool. Let's try this one here. So a lot of times it pays to go back and try some of these other ones, because you may find that with the settings that you've adjusted, you may find something that you really like. But let's just click on a few of these. See how that one has changed? And let's try the very first one here and see. There's the first one. So far, I'm still loving the tattoo one. Here's this cat, which looks really cool. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, that's not bad either. That's very minimalistic. It still has an artistic look to it, but it seems toned down a bit. But I think I'm going to go back to the tattoo. And now we're back to tattoo, and tattoo's the one I really like. But if you'll notice, all my settings are right where I left them. I'm really happy with all my adjustments. Now, all we need to do at this point is output this back to Photoshop. But before I do that, let me show you real quick. We can see our before and after right here. See this icon? Give that a click. You can see your before, and now you can see your after. And if you want to zoom into your image, you can click like 100% and zoom into 100%. I'm going to use my trackpad on my Mac computer and zoom in even more so you can really get a look at how cool that looks up close. It does a really great job at applying this style to the image. Isn't that neat? I love it. I love this filter. Of course, I am a sucker for this kind of stuff. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this filter, but I like it a lot. So you can zoom in, you can click fit to screen, you can click fill screen, whatever you want, zoom into 100%. Again, you can do any of that. And then if you're happy with your results, come here where it says, are you satisfied with the results? Click yes, and that sends some information back to Adobe and it lets them know that, hey, you're loving this filter and it's working out nicely for you. And if you don't like the results, they're going to say, hey, why didn't they like the results? And they may research this filter and they may do some tweaks on it. And maybe when the next update comes out, you'll find that it is much more improved. Now, you'll have these yes and no boxes on every one of the Neural filters. So go ahead and send that feedback back to Adobe. It will just make life better for all of us. Now it's time to output this image back to Photoshop. Click on the drop down and we have this list of different ways of sending it back. And we can even send it back as a smart filter if we want to, but I'm going to choose this one, duplicate layer masked. It'll send it back into Photoshop with a layer mask attached to it. The original image will be underneath it on its own layer, so we can bring back some of that original image if we need to. So all we need to do at this point is click OK. That'll send us right back into Photoshop. And here's our layer with the layer mask on it. So I could paint on this layer mask and reveal some of the original image back through if I wanted to. I don't think I want to. I think it looks really good just the way it is. Now here's what the original image looked like. Let me click the eye. Here's the before. And now here's the after. I really like it. Now let's take a look at the next image we're going to work on. This portrait already looks very artistic with the lighting on it, the purples and the pinks and the oranges. I really like the lighting scheme on here. But let's see what the style transfer filter can do to this to add a more artistic flair to it. So let's check that out next. We'll go a little quicker in this one now that we know how this filter works. So let's come up here to filter. And let's come to Neural filters. And I already have a filter in mind, so that'll keep us going along here at a faster pace. So let's go to Style Transfer, turn this on, and it always starts out with the upper left-hand corner Style Transfer filter, this guy right here. And that looks really nice, but here's the one I like, this one right here. So I'm going to click on this one, and you'll see it looks really cool. The only thing I don't like is these purple blotches in here. Plus, we've lost all that beautiful purple, pinks, and oranges. We still have the oranges, but let's go ahead and fit this to screen just to make the image larger. And let me go ahead and change preserve color back to the original color. Give it a second or two to update itself. And yes, that looks good. I mean, I really like it just the way it is. Let's try another pass on it just to see if that improves it at all or makes it worse. I think it makes it worse, lose some of the smoothness of her face. So let's go back to 1. I think 1 is good. And the other thing I want to do is pull back on the opacity a little bit. It's a little too strong, I think. Let me just ease back on that a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more. What do you think? I like that. That looks really cool. Let's click this icon here so we can see there's the before and there's the after. I'm really liking it. This looks really, really nice, in my opinion. I think the detail's good. I'm not going to mess with it. Let me see if I want to blur the background out any. So let's drag this to the right and see what we get. And yeah, I like that. 27, I think, is the perfect amount of background blur. I don't think the brightness needs touched. The saturation, maybe I'll just pull it back just a little bit, maybe to like a -3. Give it a second or two here. Yeah, just a little less saturation. And as far as focusing subject, let's click this on and see if we like it. Give it a second or two to update. And yes, I think I do like that. I think that really helps. Let's take a look at the before and after. Come down to this icon, give it a click. There's the before and here's the after. I like it. It's a very artistic piece. I think we're done with this. And if we like our result, don't forget, we can either click yes if we like or no if we don't. But let's click yes. A dialog box comes up. You can send them back some feedback. Answer these questions here. You can give them extra details. In my case, I'm going to refine the image or composition further, probably in Photoshop. So I'm going to click this. I'm not going to leave any extra details, so I'll click submit. And as soon as I do, they get their information. Look, and it says, thank you. We have received your feedback. And now let me go ahead and output this back to Photoshop. So let's come down here to the drop down, click this, and I'm going to duplicate layer masked. Send it back and click OK. We'll be back in Photoshop. And here is my before, and here is my after. And don't forget, we have a layer mask in case we want to bring back some of the original image from underneath. Well, there you go, everyone. The Style Transfer filter inside of Photoshop. It's a neural filter. It's an artificial intelligence filter. Give it a try. I think you will like it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this tutorial today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, click the bell notification icon. Then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today on The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.